Hey everybody, it's Chris. In our last video, I explained how I was in the process of moving from Niagara Falls, New York to Cranston, Rhode Island. And I talked about how that would affect the channel and that most of our local adventures would move from the Western New York area, where there are so many cool places to see, to the New England area, where there are also many cool places to see. I also mentioned that I was about to go on a trip to South Florida and that my next video would be from South Florida. And here we are. We're walking along the beach minutes before sunrise. We're gonna see that momentarily, in Hollywood Beach, Florida, which is an awesome place to visit. I've been coming to Hollywood Beach for years, but I've never seen anything quite like this. This is something you don't see every day. I arrived 3 days ago, and this was here, and it's still here. I've not seen anything, any kind of activity in terms of a salvage operation. Those of you who are boaters probably know what the deal is with this, but I guess when these boats run aground in the ocean or on the Intracoastal waterway, it's a challenge getting them out, and sometimes they just, I don't know, they just get abandoned, which I can't imagine. That looks like an incredible boat. It's based out of Key West, but it's been there for 3 days. Isn't that awesome? But let's watch the sunrise. So what sets Hollywood Beach apart from all the other countless Florida beach towns? And there are so many. Florida has hundreds of miles of coastline, but what sets Hollywood Beach apart is the Hollywood Broadwalk. So let's check it out. So we're now in the center of the Broadwalk, and the Broadwalk extends just over a mile south, just over a mile north, and in the center of it is the famous Hollywood Beach bandshell. We'll be back here later when there's live music playing. But let's take a little walk. We're gonna walk just north of the center and then we'll head south. What's really cool about Hollywood Beach is that this Broadwalk, on one side of you, you've got countless restaurants and shops and small boutique hotels. And on the other side, you got the beautiful Atlantic Ocean. It's more than 2 miles long. It used to be pavement, but now it's brick paver. The city put a lot of money into the Broadwalk over the past couple of decades. And this is a popular spot. And it really shows, because it's just such a beautiful place. If you like to walk, as I do, if you like to bike, there's a bike path for roller skates and rollerblades, and bicycles and whatnot. It's late morning as I'm shooting this, so the activity is not that high. Not all the restaurants are open, but things are about to liven up a bit. And we're gonna be back here in the evening because that's when things really light up. So A1A, which kind of descends the entire Florida coastline, is at the end of the block there. If you can see that boat way back there, that's A1A. And why that's important is in many places along the coast in Florida, A1A, which is a major artery, separates the ocean from the city. And it's not a big deal if you want to go from, let's say, if you were having lunch at this restaurant and you wanted to head over to the ocean, you just cross the very busy road. But in Hollywood, A1A is set a couple of blocks to our west. What that means is this Broadwalk is not intruded by cars. So folks can shop at these stores, can stay at these hotels. And by the way, we're gonna talk about the hotels. There aren't many giant, enormous hotels in Hollywood Beach. Most of it is small Airbnbs or small old-fashioned Art Deco motor inns from yesteryear. That's where I'm staying. But you can stay in those hotels or shop at these shops, dine in these little restaurants, and then walk across the Broadwalk to the Atlantic. This is a cute little park here, Charno Park. There's very active, I think it's racquetball that they play in there. It's one of those handball sports. And they have, I think, leagues that play in there. But it's a very popular place. I'm shooting this in early March. I know it won't be scheduled until later, but it's not a bad time of the year to visit from Rhode Island, where it's much, much colder. We just got hammered with 2 blizzards, and I'm glad to be down here. This is the point at the Broadwalk where the commercial activity lessens. It doesn't end, but it lessens. This is more, you know, small hotels and whatnot, a couple of single-family houses like this one here. There are still restaurants up ahead, but the commercial activity kind of dies down when you get to this point. So we're about a half mile north of the center where we just started on the Broadwalk, and I just wanted to give you some perspective. That's the sailboat we saw this morning. There's some activity there. I don't think that's related to the sailboat. I think that's beach work, but I might be wrong. More equipment than I've usually seen. But we're also at the point where we're at my little cute little boutique hotel, and I'll just show you where I'm staying. I'm guessing this is a 1940s, 1950s era hotel, but the Marlin right there. Pretty cute little hotel. We're gonna continue on just a little bit, and then we'll check out the south part of the Broadwalk. So I mentioned that there aren't many big hotels, not many chains down here, but there are a couple. And here's a Marriott. Used to be Howard Johnson's, but it's been a Marriott for years. And there's also a Margaritaville that just opened up in the past, I don't know, a couple of decades. We're gonna check that out when we start heading back south. This is a cool place to have breakfast, because you can have breakfast and enjoy the sunrise. And I did that yesterday. In fact, I think I've got a clip that I can kind of show you right now what I had for breakfast. But we're gonna, at this point, turn around, and I'm gonna pick it up when we're back at the center on what's called Johnson Street, and we're gonna check that out and then head south. Okay, so we're back at Johnson Street, the center of the Broadwalk. And by the way, it is Broadwalk, not Boardwalk. There are no wooden boards on this one. This is brick paver. But anyway, that is the famous Hollywood Beach bandshell, live music, not every night, but most nights. We'll be back here tonight. You've got to see this place jumping when there's a concert. This used to be kind of the center of the Broadwalk area in terms of commerce. There were old-timey shops along both sides of this street. And then at some point, I think 20 years ago, this development happened. This is a Margaritaville resort. It's pretty awesome, but I imagine it represented a huge revenue infusion for the city. I don't know how much, but I'm imagining everyone who stays there, who's paying around $600–700 a night, is paying a ton of money in bed tax, which, you know, tourism towns like Hollywood and Niagara Falls and so many others use to develop their economies. That's pretty cool. I've not done that. I don't think I'd have the balance to do it, but it looks pretty awesome. It's right around lunchtime now, so we'll notice as we walk south, the eateries will start to do a better business, although this is in the middle of a weekday. The Margaritaville, as I said earlier, is one of the few large-scale hotels in Hollywood Beach. There are a bunch of buildings up ahead that look like huge, and they are, but they're apartment and condo buildings, not really hotels. I referenced A1A, which is down there, which follows the Intracoastal waterway. We're gonna walk along A1A in the Intracoastal as we get closer to sunset, because we're gonna check out a Hollywood Beach sunset, and we're gonna come back to the Broadwalk this evening when it's really jumping, when there's a concert going, it's all lit up. It's quite the spectacle. I think I'm gonna have lunch later at this little place, the taco joint. I had a great breakfast this morning at a place called Cafe Club, or Club Cafe, I'm not sure. It's on Johnson Street. We were right next to it just a couple of minutes ago. In fact, I'll show you. I had the most unbelievable French toast. It was, I think, the thickest, tallest French toast. It was a cinnamon French toast I've ever had, other than at that place, because I've had it there many times before. There are so many of these small eateries on, you know, just south of the bandshell. And there's the Atlantic. Come here on a weekend, this time of the year, and the beaches are just mobbed. Because people visit South Florida from all over the world, there are so many different choices in terms of foods and different tastes. Some of these restaurants have been here for forever, for decades, and others come and go, just like any other place, right? It's a lively place in the evenings. I've never eaten at any one of these places, but they do a good business at night at least. And if you wanted to rent a cycle, whether it's a bicycle or a tricycle or these little carts, there's a couple of places along the Broadwalk to rent them, and then you've got this beautiful bike path right here to the left to enjoy the Broadwalk on wheels. Some commercial activity up there. I've never been to one of those restaurants up in this building, but again, at night they do a good business. So this is kind of a sad story. This mega complex was built like 100 years ago by John Young, who was the founder, one of the founders of Hollywood. In our next video, we're gonna spend some time at Young Circle in downtown Hollywood, and Young Circle is named after him, but this used to be a thriving hotel like 100 years ago. When Henry Flagler was building that railroad that came down the East Coast and eventually went to Key West, it was big hotels like this one and others in Palm Beach and Boca Raton and whatnot that drew, lots of people down to South Florida. And then things started to shift in terms of tastes and whatnot. At one point, this was a Bible college, and then it was back to a hotel again. Different developers have tried different things. At one point, not too long ago, there was like a mini mall in there. There was a movie theater at AMC, I believe, movie theater in there. And it was like part condos, part hotel. And then some developer bought the property. I guess what he did was he bought out the condo owners that were there and got a majority on this is interesting, on the condo board, and closed it down with the intention of developing it. But that was years ago, I don't know, 5 or so years ago, and it's been derelict ever since. So now it's condemned, and I believe it's like one of those battles between the historic preservation people who want it preserved and the developer who wants to do something with it, but probably is having financing problems, because my guess is there'd be some work going on if it weren't for money, but what do I know? So we're gonna just cross this bike path and come up here for a minute. So we are not, oh, this is nice in the shade. We are not at the end of the Broadwalk. It continues on probably for another half mile or so. And even beyond the Broadwalk, when the Broadwalk ends, you can continue walking on what's called South Surf Road, just as when you get to the end of the Broadwalk, mile and a half or so north, you can continue walking on what's, I believe, called North Surf Road. But we're gonna stop here. This is where, I love these little Florida lizards here. I think his color's like the same color as the deck, and I think like they change colors based on where they are. I'm surprised he's letting me get this close. I wonder if he doesn't think I can see him because he changed colors. Dude, I can see you. Believe me, I can see you. Wow. Okay, now he knows. No, I come in peace. You don't have to run away, dude. I'm okay. I'm okay, you're okay. Isn't this cool? All right, I'll let you be. So I'm gonna head back to that taco joint and have a nice little lunch. I'll show you what I'm gonna have, and then we're gonna come back to the Broadwalk after we see the sunset on the Intracoastal. We're gonna come back to the Broadwalk this evening, see how jumping it is and how, thriving it is. And the next video after this one will go to downtown Hollywood, but we've got more to see before then. Okay, the sun is heading west, getting ready to set. We're gonna walk along the Intracoastal waterway. We're gonna walk up the bridge that takes you over the waterway on Hollywood Boulevard, get a neat little vantage point up there. Then we're gonna get back to the Broadwalk to check out the nightlife, and then we'll call it a day. So this is A1A. And this is the Intracoastal waterway just on the other side. We're about to cross A1A. You can kind of see it right there, but we're gonna get a lot closer, believe me. This is the front of the Margaritaville, and this bar here is also part of the Margaritaville complex, and it's appropriately called 5 o'clock somewhere, of course, named after Jimmy Buffett's famous song, It's 5 o'clock somewhere. So once we can cross the road here, we'll get over to the other side. Okay, we're crossing. And again, this A1A in many parts of the state rides right along the ocean, and that's kind of cool. You can, see the ocean from your car. But I like Hollywood because you get to walk along the ocean without being disturbed by the cars. So we're not gonna have a drink at this bar, but we're gonna just check out the Intracoastal up close and personal from this joint and from a few other joints. Now we're gonna be back here soon because in a couple of videos from now, we're gonna take the water taxi. We'll take it from here to Fort Lauderdale and then we'll ride around it in Fort Lauderdale, but this is the Intracoastal Waterway right here. Pretty neat. This place is called La Tub, and it's kind of famous for its burgers. I had a burger here a couple of days ago. I try to come here once every year. Kind of a neat decor. It's called La Tub, I guess because of all these bathtubs out front. But it supposedly has the best burgers in the world, according to some. I can't tell you who those some people are. I don't think I'm one of them, but awesome. A couple of adventure bikes. This channel got its start as a moto vlog, and I just love adventure bikes. BMWs, there's a Ducati. Awesome. So I was gonna say this is a neat vantage point to watch a sunset and to check out the waterway, but they're putting in a new parking lot. I was here just literally a couple of days ago, but we've got plenty more spots to see the sunset. And here's another one. So we'll just pause here for a moment. This market here, Joe's, you see the sign there, closed. It's been there for years, and I was sad to see they closed. I remember eating at the restaurant right here, which is called Giorgio's. We'll talk about that in a bit. But there was a sailboat somewhere in what they call the North Lake area, which is this area here. And a guy, I heard a dog barking. A guy was on his sailboat. He had a dog with him. They both came on in a little dinghy, went to Joe's to pick up provisions and then left. And I thought it was the coolest thing imaginable. What kind of boat is this? If you know, put it in the comments. Pretty neat. But we've got a lot of things to do and places to see, so let's continue on. So above the Joe's Ocean Market sign, you'll see a sign for Giorgio's Bakery, which is that restaurant that I just referenced. They have a great breakfast there, and I think I'm gonna have breakfast there tomorrow. They have just an incredible waffle, and it's so neat to sit right there on the Intracoastal while you're enjoying your breakfast or your lunch or your dinner. They're a full-service restaurant. And a neat little bakery too. In fact, you know what? We're gonna just pop our heads in here just to check out their selection. It's a guy who's got a sweet tooth. This is like heaven. That's awesome. Okay, so see this Gigi's Bar and Grill? This place is kind of, it's got an interesting history. And for those of you, if there are any of you that are interested in like mob history, Google Joe Sonken, S-O-N-K-E-N, I believe, Joe Sonken. Because this was the site of, not the site, but this is the actual building that was Joe Sonken's Gold Coast restaurant, which was apparently a popular hangout for mobsters and movie stars. And now it's kind of an upscale restaurant. Not a bad location, sitting right there. So you can see right there, they're serving bar, and then on the other side is the Intracoastal. But if you Google Joe Sonken, you can read about him. He was quite the character. And this was his joint. So you can see the sign there. This is Billy's Stone Crab. And this Taverna Opa, I think they just opened recently in the past couple of years. But this Stone Crab place has been here for a while. I'm not really a Stone Crab place kind of guy. Not bad, not bad, not bad. But for those of you who like seafood, that's probably a pretty cool place. So just to put things into perspective where we are, that is the Hollywood Beach Hotel that we looked at earlier. that's now closed. And this street here that goes up this like exit ramp, if you will, takes us to Hollywood Boulevard. And what we're gonna do is go to the top of the Hollywood Boulevard Bridge. In fact, I might get a better perspective for you by coming over here, right to the Intracoastal. It's an interesting way of parking a car, I guess. So we're gonna walk to the top of that bridge. I don't wanna put my phone, I don't trust this selfie stick that much, but I think I'll trust it just enough. See that bridge right there? We're gonna walk to the top of that and get a good glimpse of the Intracoastal and more. And this is a drawbridge. Last year I did a video and we captured the drawbridge going up and down, and that was a pretty cool experience. I was down here last year on my Spider. This was a motovlog at the time, and that was like a 3-week adventure. This was just one stop on a travel itinerary of many stops. Okay, we're getting there. It doesn't seem like it, but this hill is more challenging than it looks. Well, if you're not walking it, I guess it's not challenging at all. But for me, it's I'm getting a good workout. I just love how this is fairly new. This is all, awesome decorative. It's not a recreation of the original bridge. It's just designed to look like an awesome Spanish stucco, whatever you call it, look. But I love it. And that's the Hollywood Beach Hotel, Hollywood Beach Resort. Let's go to the top of the bridge. So that is looking south towards Miami. And in between here and Miami, there's Hallandale and Golden Beach and Sunny Isles and Bal Harbour and so many other municipalities. And this is looking north, and we can see the Port of Everglades. See those cranes out there? I guess they're not cranes, I don't know what they call those things, but they move cargo at the Port of Everglades. Pretty cool. And the sun is getting ready to set over downtown Hollywood. And our next video will be from where the sun is setting in downtown Hollywood. It's a pretty cool place to visit. So originally I thought we'd capture the sunset from the top of the bridge, but I think we're gonna go back to that spot near Giorgio's restaurant because I know we can get a good vantage point there. So let's go. Okay, this should be a good one. I think the clouds make it even better. Just awesome. Amazing, just amazing. And after this, I'm gonna head back to the beach where I believe a concert starts at 7 o'clock. Wow, just perfect, just perfect. When it dips below the horizon, we'll head back to the beach. Okay, gang, I was mistaken. So it's a Tuesday evening, early evening, and the bandshell, the Hollywood Beach Theater, only has live concerts on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But the good news is I've got a video from a prior year visit with a concert that was raucous and, it was dark, there were crowds and whatnot. It was a different time of the year, I believe. And I'll interject that right here. The other thing I'll mention is, so as I'm shooting this in early March, we just had the blood moon or whatever they called it. It wasn't visible here. I tried to get a look at it, but we couldn't see it here. But last night there was an awesome moon, I guess the preliminary to the blood moon, and I got a shot of that, and I'll interject that here. So this place is a chain of some sort. I know there's one in Fort Lauderdale. I drove by it last year. A little too loud for me. I love Mexican food, but that loud radio is always blasting. So our next video, again, will be from downtown Hollywood, Young Circle and Hollywood Boulevard. I think you'll like that one. And then after that, we're gonna jump on the water taxi and we're gonna eventually get to Key West, which is at the tail end of my vacation. Should make for some great video. Key West is such an awesome spot. If you like this video, please hit that like button. If you're not a subscriber to the channel yet, if you would subscribe, I sure would appreciate it. If you have any comments on anything we saw or anything we talked about for this video, which started at the crack of dawn this morning, literally at sunrise, and now it's ending at sunset. If you have any comments, please comment. And until the next video, which again will be from downtown Hollywood, thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.